should have
does.
had you on sooner though, as far as your face. We should have had you on.
I
Oh, well, thank you.
I
That's a
appreciate you.
compliment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All
absolutely.
right.
So Pooja, we
Just for clarification.
yeah, exactly. So Pooja, we had you do some research. We came to you. We had a question because we saw it on TikTok or I saw it on YouTube shorts, and it was a great question. It had to do more so like as far as dealing with culture and ethnic groups, as far as are women
Yeah.
being raised to be wife material, or are they just being raised to be too independent? And from that, other things stem, like your research and stuff like that. Ray came had some other stuff as well. Jeff had a thesis that he wrote in the Slack chat. Um, Look at Jeff.
Just wanted to
Good.
provide some context,
You
man.
did,
Hey,
Very
you
hey.
good.
did, because it opens up, a lot of room for conversation on different topics. It leads to different things. So, Pooja, with that said, what
Yeah.
do you have for us with this touchy topic?
Yeah. I think so. That's a really good way to put it. Touchy topic, because
Mm-hmm.
I think it, even amongst women, there's really not an really we don't fully understand or appreciate or accept like what a woman should be, right? Like there's studies done on how men and women kind of look at competition. So like
Mm-hmm.
women will do it in less violent means. They don't want confrontation, but there's other ways where they'll gather people to kind of, um, you know, ostracize a person that did something to break the girl code, for example. Or I'm sure men have that too, but in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the biggest things is the fact that we're here in 2022 and still talking about there needing to be like a box to check for if you're a wife, this should be a role, or wifey material, husband material. I
Yeah.
think that is a big thing. But um, what I found was women actually long term, they tend to look for men that are funny. That was like a number one trait that I found.
Oh yeah.
Ambitious. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I looked at some studies where they did some surveys, and I'll see if I can send you guys the link if you want to post them. None
Yeah,
of this, by the
absolutely.
way, is my research, so I can share my own personal experiences with couples that I've seen. But um, in terms of traits, women tend to look at long-term mates. Now, there was one that did short-term and long-term mates. So in the short term, women were able to look at a picture and decide what they were okay with in terms of the values that they're willing to compromise, and they were willing to do that if for short-term mates looks was number one.
Mm.
For
Mm.
longer-term mates though, yeah, for
Yeah.
longer-term mates, somebody that made them laugh was number one, and ambitious, was passionate about something, had a career, financially stable, or at least had sort of a stability to
Yeah.
offer,
Yeah.
and looks were number four or five out of the top five in that survey.
Really.
And
Mm.
yeah, so women, um, tend to look for more stability, and that's more like biological. If you look at like prehistoric humans, like when we're cave people, right? Like there were men that were hunters and
Yeah.
women that were the gatherers, and women had to secure like the strongest mate for her to survive and for her offspring to survive. So you're gonna have children, right? Those are, I mean, we're still carrying those conditioned traits through
Yeah.
evolution, right? That hasn't gone
Yeah.
away in my opinion, and from what I've seen. But um, men, though, as much as I think times have changed,
Yeah.
the values really haven't changed much in terms of what they seek in a wife versus like, God, women are gonna kill me for using this side piece, or like a
Nice. Go
girlfriend.
all in on this Monday. That's what I'm
you
talking
know
about.
I mean, people use that term. I grew up hearing it. So um
We're just never scared.
no, man, so
In
gotta
2022, we
say it
still
like
got
it is.
side pieces, huh?
I know. There's yet no words for men. There's like mistress, side piece, right? So it's sort of like
Hmm.
it's okay, right? For men, though, being a woman being faithful was one of the top qualities that came up
Absolutely.
across surveys and studies I saw. But the other interesting thing was so it was women who shared values, so either religion or what they want to accomplish in life, were family oriented. Those were very big, and looks were of course, on the list that they found in their eyes, women that were
Yeah.
attractive. But the cons, interestingly, is that they also, I mean, I think, I don't know, guys, do you guys want like this mirage or this thing? It's just somebody who doesn't,
Doesn't
check
cook,
in
doesn't
or
clean, doesn't
nag. It
what?
doesn't do, yeah,
Oh,
it
oh,
doesn't
oh.
like doesn't check in. Is okay with like the guy doing whatever he wants.
That's
Doesn't somebody actually a couple of people's responses were it doesn't check my phone. I mean that's a different issue. You should be doing that anyway. We're talking about trust, but then again, then
yeah.
it's not there. As loyalty was big, loyalty, family centered. So those are things like women that were good with taking care of the kids or
Gotcha.
able to support the man. So that hasn't changed very much over the course of what the last God ever since the world has
Yeah, exactly. So
existed.
I think from your research and just in general, I think men are pretty simplistic. Like I think we are simple, and our goals have not changed. We're willing to still be the provider, the protector, the hunter, as you put it. And as long as women, there's a woman at home that's either I hate to say cooking, cleaning, not as far as that, but I'm saying
That
being
is
the
how
home
far
taker,
you want
being
to
the
go.
home taker. You know what I'm
But
saying?
say,
Being the home
Reg,
taker. You know what I
you
mean?
navigating
No. I'm saying
dangerous
in
terrain
generally.
too.
I'm saying generally. So let's say, for instance, I'll ask you a personal question. Since you're married, did your husband and you have like put to the table like, hey, these are the traits I want. This is what I'm expecting from this relationship. I'm expecting this of you, and you said this is what the traits and qualities I'm expecting from you to, as far as if we go further
Yeah.
into this.
We didn't. We were young. Like
Yeah.
I was super young when we met and got married, so we
Yeah.
actually didn't really kind of have that conversation. But through the course of our relationship,
Yeah.
expectations, I think, just sort of made their way into it, and we just kind of adjusted. If something was a problem, we
Yeah.
addressed it. I mean, to this day, like we both share childcare responsibilities. In fact, I think on some days he does more.
Oh, really?
He likes to, yeah. I mean, things have changed since we got married.
They were like they were like five years into the marriage, and he was like, "Babe, you hot, but do you cook?"
It's like I noticed those takeout boxes over there.
He's like, "Damn, you hot, but sometimes I want some breakfast."
I know how
Uh,
to use a phone.
I wonder how much TV and videos play in a part of our decisions as well, though, because we're taught
Yeah.
at a young age as far as we watch our parents see how they do things from
Yeah.
previous years. But if you watch still TV shows today, men are still the providers, women are still like the stay at home. And you have a few shows where it's different, but for the most part, it's still generally the same. So I wonder how much that plays into our thoughts as
Yeah.
far as that's how it's going to be, as how it should be.
Oh well, the media has always played it, influenced us. It's,
Yeah.
it's just it's a social thing.
Yeah,
you
of
know.
course.
Just like now, I think the social aspect of it, which is the social media, is making it seem like to me, man. I look and I'm like, man, God bless people that have to be in relationships these days, because it's like you're getting a facade, you're getting a mirage, you're getting something that's not real. Because you see these amazing pictures, and God knows that person doesn't look like that, and they're having the best day, and they're in, and all they have is women are more, and I guess guys have always been whatever, but women are more like open about sharing body parts. You know what I'm saying? Like men traditionally want
No,
a
Reg,
woman.
explain.
What are you
Yeah.
saying, Reggie? 'Cause
No,
I'm
like
not-
I'm talking about as
I'm
far
not
Tell
as
me
lost.
more about
bikini.
that.
I'm talking about
I
butt.
just took a
I'm talking
different
about
turn. Yes, please
no, because
explain.
I mean, like as far as I went to the gym, so look at me in my leggings. Hey, look, I'm this. I'm working on my butt, my gluteus maximus, and it's like they are putting their stuff on. And I'm not just talking about women. I'm saying they're putting their stuff on
Out
front
there.
blast. You know what I mean? They're just putting it out there, and it's like I know men are like, okay, we may say whatever we want, like, oh yeah, we want the hottest woman or whatever, blah blah blah, but a trophy. But at the end of the day, when it comes to like, can you handle it? It's like no, we become real conservative. Like, whoa, babe, I know it, I know it's 90 degrees out there, but you think you can wear a turtleneck today? Because we've
Yeah.
just become that like, whoa, it's become I guess we become territorial, right? So
Yeah.
these days it's like
Because you
it's
catch
so
feelings.
out there. Yeah, but I'm saying imagine dating out now where everything's already like everyone's seen it before they even purchased it, seen or touched it or anything. You know what I mean? It used to be, what was the term? Don't give up milk. What, the cow, the milk, whatever. I know one of you guys
Oh,
know that.
don't give, what is it? Don't
Ki-
give away the milk
Milk
before
for
someone
free,
buys
or
the cow,
yeah, or
or
something for free. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Without buying the
or like
cow.
yeah, or what is it, like you can't buy the car without a test drive?
Something like that. And let me
That
tell
that's
you,
That
they're
was for
they're
men. That was
they're
for
giving test drives like boom, like you get a test drive, you get a test drive, you get some milk. That's what it is now because
Yep.
everyone sees it out there, and I mean, I know it's like liberating and independence, but
But
God, like I said,
here's the thing, Reg, right? Here's the thing. So
yeah,
first you mentioned that, men tend to be a bit more simplistic as
we
far
do.
as what we're looking for. But is there a connection between simplistic and realistic, right? So I guess that would be the first question that I pose. Like just because we take somewhat of a laid back approach to what we're looking for, does that still mean that what we're looking for is realistic, and does it apply to what's going on today or to the person that holds your attraction? And I guess the next thing is, if I had to ask, is it a bad thing to maybe want a relationship where you have a wife that stays at home, that maybe isn't doesn't mind cooking and cleaning? Like, is that demeaning to be looking for that? Is that a reflection of a dated thought process? Or is that just mean that you have to sift that much harder through the pack to find someone that's willing to give that to you? I'm curious. What's your thoughts on that?
You're talking to Pooja, right?
I'm talking to anyone.
Oh, okay. Well,
Like, do
Pooja's
you think it's unrealistic to want to find a wife that maybe meets whatever you hold in your mind as
well
the
the
ideal
traditional, more
situation?
traditional, the traditional role you're referring to. And
I
I
think
don't think it's here's the thing. I've seen I've seen stuff now that women
And
are
is that
actually
wrong for a woman to want that in return as
I
well?
was
You know
gonna
what I'm saying?
say
Like, I
that
don't think it's a
I've been
right.
seeing a
Go
lot
ahead.
of women come back these feminists and saying, "Hey, you guys may want the independent. I want to stay at home and be a mother, a wife, a provider, and I'm okay with that because when did that become weak? Because last I checked, that's like three jobs or two jobs, the equivalent of having two jobs when you raise a kid at home.
yeah. I mean,
It's a job that never ends, actually.
I
Yeah, yeah, but
personally
I
Yeah,
know
you don't
mean,
women who
get
do
sick
that right
days.
now.
You just gotta pop some Dayquil and get with it.
she said have some Dayquil.
Get some days off.
I don't think you're gonna get many referrals from that, Pooja. Shit.
This
What
is
the
where technology appears. TV.
fuck?
Mama needs some
Shit.
Advil.
Shit.
Chill.
We're just gonna keep it adults for you, Pooja. Because what the hell? Pooja's like, just pop some Dayquil. Give him some
I mean,
vodka.
look.
She's like, give him
But
some
Pooja, is
vodka.
that unrealistic? Is it unrealistic for a male or a female to hold a mindset of where it's like, okay, I'd like to be a stay-at-home mom and have a man that goes out and takes care of the bills and stuff while I take care of home, and at the same time, is it wrong for a male to be looking for that in a female? Is that, I guess, having that mindset, is that an indication of like someone not moving forward or being um, I don't know, being out
Woke.
of touch with reality? Is that a bad right? Is that a bad thing?
No, no, I think it's a preference, right? It
Yes.
speaks to a
Right.
deeper value, which is you want to have stability for your kids in the home, or somebody who's willing to sort of be okay with a one income household in these times, but willing to sort of devote their time. And I've seen many couples where it's either the husband ends up being, a stay at home dad. That's a thing too, which is slowly kind of gaining momentum, but um, it's not as common, or it's frowned upon still to this day, and many men that I've seen in couples therapy, that has been a strong sort of issue because there was a lot of resentment built from the time that they took to do that. And it was
Mm,
purely because of finances. So it kind of really came down, or comes down to, I think, in this day and age, sort of money, the feasibility of like, hey, depending on where you want to live, can we survive on a one income household?
yeah.
And then you have to worry about childcare and all that. So if you actually add up the cost of all the things that go into, being a stay-at-home parent, whether a mom or dad, or someone who identifies as a mom or dad, that is, I think there was a survey that said total it was like a 24/7 job, and it was a six-figure plus paycheck that they're not getting,
Right.
Mm,
and there's no paid sick leave, there's no 401k. I mean, there's
yeah.
none
Hmm.
of that, right? So I think it's not wrong to have that mindset. I think that just speaks to the fact that you know what you want, and if that's what you want, then that's a better I think, way to approach a relationship, regardless of how you find you will be perceived, because then there's a chance that your relationship won't end in divorce, as so many do these days. And so it's better to sort of know that this is what I want. And I think somebody had touched on this point right before, is that, women are kind of putting themselves out there, and it's just, it's different. But and then on some days men might get like, protective, or sort of be like, oh, put a turtleneck on, what was it,
Yeah,
May
yeah,
or
yeah.
June? But I think that speaks also to just that sort of feeling that the male privilege sort of surfaces, right?
No, explain,
Because
explain.
yeah,
What do you
so I
mean?
mean, there's male privilege. That is what we are born. Our society is always run as a patriarch. There's very few cultures, I think,
Okay.
historically, that, where women have received a certain like authority and power in a civilization. But when we think about like just today, I mean, even in religions, right? We have like female goddesses, but
Mm-hmm.
the way women are treated is really properties, behavioral economics, right? Like it's seen as a resource. Business empires have merged or married off like what their what they believe is their property, right?
Mm.
Their daughters or whomever, sisters, to merge
I get what you're saying.
business, and further that proposition and whatever that is. But I think when we look at it, it's sort of like, well, if you start dating a girl that, let's say, is more provocative, and likes to dress with clothes and can pull it off, has a confidence, more importantly, to, regardless of what the looks are, the confidence to sort of be like, hey, this is me.
Mm-hmm.
And later on you say, well, we'll put, this is too much. But it's sort of like, well, I was who I was when you dated me. Like,
Hmm.
what happened,
Finish
and
how
that's
you
similar
start.
to, right, and that's similar to, if you were to really know deep down that I want somebody who's going to replicate the way I grew up, which is maybe have a parent at home, which happened to be your mom, right? Let's say in most cases it is. Even in the pandemic, and we'll touch on that later. But
Mm-hmm.
like, if that's the case, then it would be, kind of, I think, a deal breaker, or a big reason that relationships end or lead to divorce, if down the line, you know, if you end up dating a woman who's extremely successful, career oriented, ambitious, but you really want someone that's not, then to bring that up at that point is sort of, but you knew what I, was bringing to the table, what
Yeah.
mattered to me. So it's, I think, a great mindset to have, because that's your authentic sort of what you want. And if that's your values that you're trying to sort of live with it, and that, then there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think right now in this, we're all very like politically correct about what we say,
Yeah.
and rightfully so, with this whole push with, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yet I think we still struggle to say the truth, because of how we might feel like we're going to lose an opportunity, whether that's a job, a
Mm-hmm.
mate, or anything really. But
Or how we sound.
not right,
Yeah.
right. But at
Or,
the end of the day, right, like, you're actually just compromising
Yeah.
what you need, and then that leads to more conflict, and then divorce. So then if you have kids and you're divorcing because you didn't kind of follow your gut and heart really to what you wanted, then that causes more problems down the line. So I think that's not a terrible mindset to have. I mean, I think that's okay to lead with that.
So, quick side question. So, we've touched on the social media piece of it, right? And we've talked about how, and Reg is accurate, like there is a lot to see out there. It feels like it's on display. But I'll say this, Reg, I don't believe it's just a woman thing. I think it's just people in general now are like, it's like fishing, you're just kind of throwing a line out there, whether it's, you're looking for compliments or likes or some type of affirmation. I don't know what it is, but I guess my question to you is this: do you believe? We all agree that social media has had an impact on the dating scene, but I like the word you use. You use confidence. Like if somebody's a little more provocative, you know what? That's in a sense like some confidence. Is it fair to say that that same person that's going to go on social media and maybe be in the provocative fit is the same person maybe 10, 15 years ago that you would have seen walking down the street in the same fit? Like it's how they're built. It's like you said, it's a confidence. It's like, hey, I know I look good, look at me. Isn't it social media just kind of extended their range some? Or do you think
Yeah.
social media has carried a deeper impact than that? Like now
Yeah,
that
well,
range is extended to people that wouldn't normally do that.
yeah, I mean, I think, social media sort of allows people to create a persona that they can escape with, right? Or
Mhm.
to build up a influencer list because they want to monetize. So there's all these like different motivations, and they may be very different off camera than what they're posting, of
Mm,
course. Um, but I think, it kind of speaks. So this topic, I feel, and what I'm hearing, really the underlying theme that I'm picking up is, if we look at maybe a decade ago, even like if a woman was raped, and even to this day, the first question is, what was she wearing? Why was she by herself at this time? What was she doing?
Mhm.
Right? I
Very,
mean,
very true.
but that conversation, when we talk about, oh, if a woman's raped, is like, what were you wearing? What were you doing? And so I think part of this is to it's counterculture. It's sort of to move forward from like, hey, I can wear whatever I want. I am allowed to walk. I mean, I think shirtless and braless is probably indecent exposure still. You
In
probably get a
certain
ticket.
certain areas.
I thought you were gonna say I'm allowed to walk these streets. I was gonna be like, what? What? Uh,
Oh boy, yeah. Well, that, but th- that alone right there, I think, is a way to kind of be like, hey, yeah, I'm a woman. This is what I have. Like, you
yeah,
can't, like, I should be able to. It's my body, just like you show yours. Like, it is mine. So
Right.
I wonder if part of it is just women stepping up to also leverage these additional tools. This
yeah,
the mindset of there's acceptance now too. Like, women work out, women do this. They also are into their bodies. It creates other issues for other women who maybe look at it and go, "Oh my God, I fucking wish I looked like that," or like,
yeah,
Right, right.
"Why
exactly.
can't I?" So there's all those things that do happen as well as a result. But I think most of it is just, hey, this is what I do, and it's sort of, I mean, modeling is the age of beauty pageants. Like, why do we have them? Like,
If we kind of go back and think
Agreed.
about the main question about what's wife and material, we're kind of forgetting, like we might have touched on it already, but the religion aspect, because if I remember correctly, when I used to go to this certain church, I'm not gonna say it was pushed upon, but it seemed like the wife was the caretaker,
Yeah,
and they used kind of like a biblical background for that, and the husband was the provider,
yeah,
and it seemed like it was more of just that's kind of how it was, and that's how it's going to be, and there wasn't any change because it says it in the Bible. You can use Bible references to back you up because it's biblically correct.
okay.
So it seemed like that's kind of how it's
yeah,
pushed in the church in a sense,
yeah. I mean, the
and
Adam and the Eve
Yeah.
scenario, right? The woman was found to be the weaker sex. She couldn't resist temptation. I'm not
Well,
practicing any kind of religion, so I
well,
don't know.
she,
So correct me if I'm wrong,
well,
but
she sold Adam on that apple. She's pretty good salesperson.
mm,
How about that apple? How about these apples?
how about them apples, Reg?
I'm saying, right? Sin and death.
I'm biting my tongue because it's corny. But let's move on.
That's why we got
Hoosier
PTP.
for the
I
win.
know. Wow, geez, she's so
Just drop the
brutal.
mic and walk away.
There we
Yeah,
go. There we go.
That was
brutal.
a drop the mic moment.
Wow, she's
She'll be like, all right,
brutal.
guys, I'm
So that's why
done.
we
I'm
got you on
out.
here,
Uh,
Pooja.
I see.
Keep it
So,
100 all
so
the time.
going back to what you were saying before, when you were saying when people get in relationships and how things change, and they're like, oh, you need to, so they tell the person to change or whatever,
Yeah.
change how they dress, get more conservative, whatever that may be. I don't know. I don't necessarily mean. I mean, if that happens immediately, it's it's different. Like if it happens instantly, you guys get together and you're like, okay, you need to change this. But if it happens over time, because for instance, when people are single, they're putting themselves out there to make, like Jeff said, to get a catch. So
Mhm.
you're kind of being more provocative. You're kind of,
Not always, though. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you don't think so in a sense that people are
Not
like,
always. There are some people that are just true to who they are, and it's like, love me or leave me. I'm telling you, I've come across a few people in my time that I'm like, nah, she's just kind of
yeah,
doing this. And you know what? I see them to this day, and I'm like, all right, you still beating that drum. Okay,
but they're single,
you
right?
march to the
They're
beat of
single,
your
right?
own
It's
drum.
it's a case
No,
by case scenario. It's a
they're
case by
single.
case.
Yeah, but they're single, right? They're
Some
the
of them,
one
yes, some of them, no.
they're the one marching band, right? They're like, oh, I'm not changing. I know, and they're probably just
But the thing is, I don't. The thing is, I truly don't believe it's like some type of like defiance. Like I'm going out of my way to be this way. That's just who and how they are, you know. And when you spend enough time around them, you realize like, okay, well, this isn't some type of like false pretense. They're not putting on airs to make you like them or not like them. Like this is truly who they are and how they're built. And I agree with you. You're always putting your best foot forward in any type of relationship building situation. But I'm just saying there's a couple of X factors out there where they are who they are. So whether it's
A couple.
5 years into the relationship, 10 years into the relationship, they're
Yeah.
still doing the same thing they were doing,
But
operating in that same capacity.
so let's go for what you're saying. So let's say there's a couple of those apples in, right? Apples. So there's a couple of them, right? So let's say out of them, the majority, I'm saying,
Mic drop.
they put themselves up. They're all right. The majority, let's say they're getting at that age. They want to get married. They want to have a relationship. So they're putting themselves out there.
And
They're
what do you mean when you say put out there? What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, like they're going on dating apps and stuff like that, and they're putting their best foot forward. They're trying to give an impression of this is me, this is how I look, this is my best angles, these are my best shots. So, it's to me they're up in the ante, right? To sell themselves. We're a product. We're selling ourselves, right? Let's just put it that
Yeah,
way.
no,
So once
that is well put.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
there's
once
buyers and sellers.
yeah, so once it's sold, right? So once it's sold, um, then it's like, okay, let's wrap the merchandise up and and put the extra
This went
accessories to the
so
back.
south so quickly.
Because everything's, because hey, we've got a buyer. We've got a
Once.
buyer with a contract. I'm just
Is this
saying.
Christmas season?
No, listen. I'm just saying. I'm saying it from. I'm playing
Just want to
devil's
see where this
advocate.
goes.
I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna say from different perspectives. You guys can have this, and like I said, Jeff, you can go with, go with the, girl power, and that's cool. I'm just saying from a perspective, even from a guy, like you put yourself out there, you sold yourself to a woman, and now you should kind of like stomp, pull back a little bit on the rings, pull back a
Why
little
can't we
bit.
use the word presenting yourself versus selling yourself?
Well, you can use any terminology that you're fine with, right?
I'm just saying. I mean, selling yourself. Come on,
Why? What's wrong?
that's kind of low.
That
Promoting
clearly
See,
touched a
yourself.
nerve on
I,
one of Ray's old
but I
lives. He
know.
doesn't like that
What happened,
terminology.
JT? Was you good, JT?
JT's dead. I don't
Gee,
know him anymore.
yo,
Should I intervene? Like, what was it
sure.
about that statement that brought that
I
up? What
know.
were you
Please
How
feeling?
about
find
just
out. Like, there's a
I don't know. I
trigger.
just feel like the
What
we
were
selling
you
had to
yourself.
feeling?
schedule
Right? No,
some
no, but
time
then
It
after the
brought
show,
something
Ray.
back. I don't know.
Triggered. Apparently, please, PTP, save me. I'm alone with this dude.
Hey,
Save me.
PTSD.
oh man.
PTSD. That's funny.
But
So,
just
so
speaking
Reg,
to
you're
that
saying if she
point.
dressed provocative for 10 years or 3 years of you guys dating and you're ready to move forward and marry her, you're having a conversation like, hey, babe, I love you. I want to make this forever. Just wondering, can you maybe dial it back a little bit? Like, is that what you're saying? Like, okay,
Well,
like
let's put
this
it. I
was
think there's evolution, right? So I think
agreed.
we're not when we're 20s we dress different than we're in the 30s. When you're
Yep.
30s, when you're 40s you dress different than when you're in 30s, right? It just you grow.
You should.
So you should
you
yeah,
should.
you should. So you should evolve. So if you're becoming a parent, you don't want to be the 50, 40-year-old parent picking your kid up and you're still you got leggings and you've got, whatever, and you've got your
Well, I'm
sports
saying
bra
she
on
went
and
from
stuff
mini
like
skirts and half tops to like the Amazon special yoga pants and
to the
like the
what?
sports bra. Like,
Yeah, for what? For Halloween
there's
or for a special
evolution.
night? What are we talking here? I'm just saying.
Nothing wrong with yoga pants. Those should be
No,
allowed
there's
to be
That's
on
what
nothing
I'm
wrong with
men.
saying.
yoga pants. They're
Celebrate
they're
the yoga
actually
pants.
acceptable. They're actually acceptable now. They are yeah,
Not
they're
for
acceptable.
everybody.
But just to add to this point though, about I've also seen it go another way where people are like, oh, like when some this is what I've heard from some of my in my experiences,
Yeah.
and so I've seen it go another way, which is like in the beginning, let's say, and this was actually I'll tie it back to the survey questions and then sort of the traits we were looking at, the turn offs and the turn ons, kind of
Yeah.
like
Okay.
so I've seen it go the other way where, initially a man's really attracted to a woman because of the way she puts herself together, the way she presents herself, appears, and
Yeah.
promotes sort of, just who she is.
Right.
But then a few years into the relationship, perhaps, um, that confirmation, that solid commitment is in, or they go, well, but then got married, and all of a sudden she's was wearing around like walking around the house in
Yeah.
sweatpants all the time,
Yeah.
or stopped taking care of her looks, didn't go to the
Yeah.
gym, didn't do her nails, things that I think at one point that were very attractive and they would have appreciated their spouse to continue doing that, they didn't. So
Mm.
in that case, it went the other way, where they were like, what happened? Or in those cases, if something didn't look well, that was usually the reason to be like, oh, can you cover that up? Not because they were being possessive or toxic, or controlling. It was more of like, there was a male privilege again, the ego, the male ego, right? Like, how are other people going to see me? Because their wife or their children,
Hmm.
in I don't think it's that ancient, and it's not a generation that's that far away from us, where,
Yeah.
for our generation, I think we're in the same group, so I'm going to
Yeah.
say
Yeah. Yeah.
our.
I think so.
Um, there's that like patriarchal societal way of
Yeah.
thinking, and then there was that new sort of more liberal way of thinking that was coming up. So I feel that it's hard because our generation has learned and seen things one way
Yeah.
and then done another. And that generation, men into this day, and is just, I feel like, a very strong, or people who identify themselves as men, I think, tend to view. In this case, we're going to use just, people who identify, or just men and women
Okay.
biologically, whatever they identify themselves as, their preference. But historically, right, like, women have been used as a resource. So if a wife and children, for men at work parties, it was like, oh, charm the boss or the boss's wife because they wanted a
Oh.
promotion, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, sort of like, what can I gain? So that this picture perfect family that,
Yeah.
kids dressed well, wife like put together. I'm like a Mad Men, and it was
Yeah.
the 60s, right? But like, if you look at certain circumstances now, it's very similar. I think, though, it differs among, I think, the type of work and wear and industries. But even then, there's an expectation that the spouse, usually the wife, is going to kind of add to the man or husband's overall promotion socially. And that is what marriage is too. It's a way to move up in social realms. It's not just for like mating. It's also, hey, if I marry this person, I may go from being um, in a very, like, in a lower socioeconomic class
Yeah.
to a much more like well received, or comfortable class, where I'll have all these opportunities, and open up networks for me to grow what I need.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways. I've seen both. And in my experience, though, in cases where men have chosen to marry higher earning women or women with family wealth, there seems to be more dissatisfaction in terms of their idea and attachment to the idea of them not living up to what men should. What, we've, for as long as I think people have existed, decided that men are supposed to be. So that is something that is happening. So while we're shifting cultures, there's still a lot of shaming. If you were to see, um, you know, a wife that's earning, there's lots of ways to put a man down for that. Like, oh yeah, or if a girlfriend's calling, and the boyfriend's receptive, for example, I know, and you look, I've had we've all, experienced being teenagers in 20s and 30s or whatever,
Yeah.
and their friends will joke about it and be like, oh, she's got you whipped, like she's,
Yes.
you're, and that's seen as a bad thing. So emotionally too, you're taught as a man, you can't open up, you can't share. All you have to do is provide. So now I think, with so many more women that are educated, um, pursuing graduate degrees, pursuing careers where traditionally only men were present,
Yeah.
or even in very highly female dominated fields, men are still at the top tiers of management. I mean, like, teaching is one. I've worked in schools, I've seen that,
Hmm.
where it's highly, female field, but the administrators, superintendents,
Are men.
majority of the times are
Are
men.
men.
So
The
That's
decision
true.
are
makers.
men, department heads, right, right. So
Hmm.
that's still sort of interesting,
It
but
is. Yeah.
and slowly I think things are changing, but it's still very much, the more we think things are changing, the very
Yeah.
much they are the same in some ways. And so, in fact, I think men are now feeling bad if they do identify as like supporting women's rights, or um, okay with their spouse, being out with her girlfriends, while, or with their wife being out with their girlfriends and then watching the kids, because it's more common and accepted. But at the
Yeah.
same time, a lot of times other or friends be like, oh, she left, she's out at a club or bar, and you're here with the kids. Like, why aren't you out?
Right. Right.
It's certainly much harder for, I think, a woman to leave for a week conference. But I feel like in my own personal situation, like, my husband travels more for work, and then so majority of the responsibilities end up kind of in my lap. And
Mm.
he also does a lot more also at times than I do. So it's hard to always be equal. You got to kind of understand, hey,
Right.
this point in our lives, like maybe I'm going to do this. Down the line, you're going to step it up. Just like if, you know, we both work, we both, but he is in an industry, he's in finance, and he's in an industry where he, has worked really hard to kind of um, move up, and so therefore the there he gets paid a fuckload more than what I do.
Tell me how you really feel. Yeah.
I mean
Okay.
that's just and
That
so
makes up for it.
there's
Hey, I love that part.
I
How much?
know.
How much does it get paid more than you?
A fuckload more. Gotta put that in. So if you can sum it up,
yeah.
with the wifey, or women being raised as wifey material or too independent, how would you summarize that question, to end it for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think the right question perhaps to also ask is, men not are they done growing? Like, are they just feeling like, oh shoot, like we're here, we've always been at the top, so there hasn't been a need to sort of do more to grow. Women are taking opportunities, certain, expanding their skill sets that they weren't allowed to before by society and law, not because they weren't intelligent or capable enough to, but I
Yeah.
think men are now either just feeling something to explore. I wonder if it's threatening sort of like that male privilege of I should have hot food waiting for me when I come home, and a home that's clean, right? Like, and I think now with more women gone, that means, hey, I have to actually cook dinner and clean when I come home from work too. It can't just be demanded. Like, I work all day, and that's the stereotypes we see, right? Like, um, that is, I think, being threatened. Anytime a social order is being threatened, there's
Yeah.
always resentment and there's always pushback. Change is hard. Change is hard. But also, we're gotta be mindful. Everybody's not doesn't fall into like this normal like just like normal sort of area. Everyone is on one side or another too. So there's, people that may not fit into specific boxes that may say, well, you could be both. But I think as far as wifey material, I think there's still, I don't think it's a question of women, I think, being different or being too independent. I think that now we're in a more conscious and aware
Yeah.
um, time where women are confidently being able and supported to express their full level of what it means to be a woman, right? Like they're able to express their intelligence, express their words without feeling like I'm not going to move forward in my career. And while that still happens, there's just more support and awareness, and women are just showing up as who they really are because I think that we're more okay with that, more so than not.
Pooja, go ahead and plug yourself one
Yeah.
time. Plug your email and your information as far as one more time before how people can get in contact with you. Who you are once again, so
Yeah,
people know who you are and how they can get in
sure.
contact with you.
Absolutely. Where oh, verbally, you
Just
mean? I'm
verbally, yeah,
so,
just verbally, yeah.
oh my, where I type
Just hit the button.
Just put it in
fucking
the
tired and
cloud.
old.
Put it in
Uh-huh.
the cloud.
But yes, you can find me under my private practice is Pivotal Psychotherapy Services, or you can just type in Pooja Trivedi Parikh. I should show up hopefully, but
Damn. Okay. You like
She
that?
does.
Pivotal Psychotherapy would you'll find me. Info at pivotalpsychotherapy.com is a great way to connect via email, or I'm going to get my phone. I don't know if anyone's going to really use it or remember it, but 917-683-3911. But it's, again, my name's Pooja Trivedi Parikh. Info at pivotalpsychotherapy.com is the best way to connect. And you can look up Pivotal Psychotherapy Services and you'll find me.
Thank you so
Damn.
much.
All
All
right.
right,
Thank you.
beautiful. Yes.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
guys,
you.
and I
All right.
commend you
Enjoy the rest of
again
your
for
evening. Enjoy your
you
week.
too.
Looking forward to the next show.
Wait, she
Yes.
was commending
Same
us, Jeff. You
here.
took that away. She was
I
commending.
Oh, did I?
was.
Oh, my apologies.
If you were looking at her,
I,
you would
I
have you would have known
I know,
that.
right? If I wasn't in the corner.
No, I want to say, I think that it's really good that you guys are bringing out topics and really kind of taking the stigma out of conversations and talking about it in a way you would, because I think that's important. And I commend you guys for doing this and being a part of that change and sort of just by just exploring it and bringing out these conversations, because I think this is how change starts. And I think you guys are doing something really good. So I want to just tell tell you guys that I think that's amazing, and I can't wait to see and hear some of the other shows and catch up as well.
Well, this is Women's Month anyway. This is Women's Month, right?
That's right. It's a
What-
lot
what
of
is-
months.
All right, Ray,
When
look
is
at
men's
you.
month? When's men's month?
Every month. Oh wow.
I guess you only celebrate special things right now. Just
Wow.
kidding.